Minnesota High School Boys Soccer. The Tigers of St. Cloud Tech and our Spuds of Moorhead Senior High School. Once again, just a reminder, to the west of the main bleacher area, restrooms are available, as well as the Spuds concession stand. Popcorn, hot dogs, soda, water, candy, coffee, cappuccino, other items for sale at the Spuds concession stand. And again, we'd like to thank Sanford for the orthopedic and sports medicine coverage at all of our home Spud athletic contests this fall and upcoming winter seasons. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet the starting lineups for both soccer squads. First, for our visitors on the scoreboard this evening, the St. Cloud Tech Tigers. The Tigers' first starter, number 1, Nicholas Lalonde. Number 4, Lucas O'Donnell. Number 5, Sergei Hussein. Number 10, Kedar Abdi. Number 12, Gavin Fenstead. Number 15, William O'Donnell. Number 16, Keegan Gazdick. Number 17, Andrew Holmes. Number 47, Aman Yusuf. Number 36, Abdurrahman Ishmael. And finally, number 50, Pablo Ibarra. The St. Cloud Tech Tigers are coached by Mr. Dan Stedero, with the rest of the coaches, players, and staff of the St. Cloud Tech Tigers High School Boys Soccer Squad. And now let's meet the starting lineup for the home team on the scoreboard, our Spuds of Moorhead Senior High School. Spuds first starter, number 1, Jacob Bennett. Number 2, Razik Al-Shamani. Number 4, Carter Johnson. Number 5, Ben Colborn. Number 7, Mohammed Namouk. Number 8, Max Hodney. Number 9, Abdirahman Ahmed. Number 10, Reaver Keikos. Number 11, Mohammed Hussein. Number 12, Osama Alawi. And finally, number 21, Colin Baumgartner. The Spuds are coached by Mr. Ben Patry, with the rest of the coaches, players, and staff of the Moorhead High School Spuds Boys Soccer Squad. Ladies and gentlemen, if at this time y'all please rise and direct your attention toward the east end of Palmgrass Field as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's broadcast of Moorhead High School boys soccer as they take on the St. Cloud Tech Tigers tonight here at Jim Goda Stadium. The Spuds come into this matchup at 10-1-2, and their opponents, again, the Tech Tigers, coming in at 7-4-2. Now, the Spuds have had a pretty successful recent run, as their one loss coming in their first game as they fell 3-0 to St. Michael Albertville. They then tied Osseo, then proceeded to win 10 straight with a streak that started with a victory over Brainerd 3-1 and ending with a 5-0 win over Sartell St. Stephen. Now, technically they still are undefeated over the past 11 games, as it wasn't a loss that broke their win streak, rather a tie against Pelican Rapids with a 3-3 contest being called there. Meanwhile, St. Cloud Tech on the other side of things has had a couple of wins followed by 1 or 2 losses, and then a couple more wins as they seem to be pretty consistent on the year. With their most recent game, a loss 0-1 to Alexandria. Now, Moorhead is in the independent section, according to MN Boys Soccer Hub, and they're 2-0 in that section, currently putting them at the 3 seed. And St. Cloud Tech on the other side is 5-3-2 in the Central Lakes section, putting them also at the 3rd seed. Now, there is a difference, as St. Cloud Tech is a AA school and Moorhead, in respect, is a AAA school, so facing both different teams throughout the year, as well as having a different competition and level of play in regard to the opponents they face and the sections that they are in, as it nonetheless will be a intriguing matchup to watch tonight as 2 good soccer teams battle it out as the kickoff is underway. Is that sent back along the side to Fenstad? Fenstad's going to get it over to O'Donnell. O'Donnell's going to hit it up, and a tap forward pass intended for Ismail is going to be stolen away and sent back to Baumgartner. Baumgartner sends it to the side, and that's taken away from him. Now sent on back to Gadzik. Gadzik to the middle to Holmes. Holmes is going to send it back across to Fenstad. Fenstad looking for options, sends it back to Holmes. Holmes tries to immediately tap it back up, but that's knocked down by Colborne and tapped ahead there by Namook. Now with Tech with possession here, and with a couple of moves, that's Hussein. Over to Holmes. Holmes along the far side to Fenstad. Fenstad up to Yusuf. Yusuf back to Fenstad. To the middle to Holmes. All the way, stretch pass up. And that will roll out of bounds as it curved to the far side just before it got to the flag, so the Spuds will get a throw in rather than a goalie kick. That is being thrown in and immediately pressured by the Tigers. As I mentioned, with the pressure being put on by the Tigers, they are, again, just pushing forward, and I've said about 6 different names, so moving the ball and trying to get and chip past Moorhead's midfielders and defenders. As now Moorhead's going to send that way into the sky, and Holmes will try to settle that down, but Hussein knocks him off the ball. And that will be a foul called, as there's a little bit too much contact there. And so Holmes will take a kick from just inside the 40 of his offensive zone there. You can see the markings on the football field. He'll send that on in, and Jacob Vanette makes his first save of the night. And he'll roll that up along the side for a defender before it's almost knocked away, as Al-Shamani goes for that, and then taken in by Vanette. So Vanette with 2 plays right in a row there. The Spuds almost caught on their heels by Tech's aggression. Vanette's going to kick that up and settle down and moved over to Holmes. Holmes on over to Hussein. Hussein pressured hard there by Al-Shamani. Stop and go move, tap to the middle. Intended for Holmes, but knocked away by Keikos with Hussein now. Hussein to the middle, and that's taken away by Irabarin. Now move to Holmes. Holmes up the side to Irabaran. Looking for options, sends it back to Fenstad. Pass to the middle here, trying to make a move is Abdi. Abdi with a couple of cutbacks. He's going to send it on over to Gadzik. Gadzik down low. Hussein, pressured hard. Back to the middle. That's Abdi with a couple of moves. Back over to Hussein. Hussein driving the side of the net, trying to aim for rather the middle as that curve back. But the Tigers couldn't quite hammer it home, as now they will have to regroup just inside the offensive portion of the half. As now here's Gadzik. Tries to get it to the middle, but a great attempt by Keikos before it's sent over to the side and headed away there along Moorhead's defensive zone. And in comes the Tech Tigers. Is that sent on over to Hussein. Hussein will send it back, and an immediate shot by Ismail is going to be blocked by Moorhead. Ismail trying to move on in, but a great move by Colborne. So he's trying to get it away from the attackers right outside of the box. Here comes Colborne tapping up to Hussein. For Holmes' pass is going to be blocked into the air, and that's Irabaran who's passing it back to his defender. And immediately back to Holmes. Holmes' pass is blocked by Keikos. And a header on over by O'Donnell is stolen away by Namook. Here's Hussein with an attempted move around Holmes, but Holmes holds his ground. And now some back and forth action as Namook takes that, and a hook shot sent on. That's going to be blocked into the air by Lalonde, as that was a high shot just off of the top of his hands, and Lalonde has his first shot of the night. Now he'll send that kick out, and moved up by Johnson, but stolen away by Tech. Coming down along the side, here's Abdi. Abdi looking for some room, trying to create it himself. Comes around, hook shot, and that'll sail to the side of Jacob Vanette as he watches that go. That gives time for the Spuds to regroup as Vanette taps that over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner to Al-Shamani, who immediately sends it up, and that's knocked down by Holm. That sent in, and Vanette watches that roll to the side of him again, as there was something that went on after the shot. Not too sure what it was. The ref is signaling for a corner kick, a Bell Bank corner kick, as now that'll be taken by Tech. That sent on in, headed into the air, and a couple of people end up knocking that down. That's tapped over by Yusuf. Then intended to go to the middle, but Hodney's going to boot that one into the sky, and Tech will have to regroup. That's Gadzik making a move around Namook. That's stolen by Baumgartner. Baumgartner over to Keikos. Keikos is going to tap it over to the side. Streaking forward with it now, that's Hussein. And it'll roll out of bounds off of a Moorhead player. And St. Cloud Tech takes a throw in, sending it into Lucas O'Donnell. O'Donnell sends a boom of a pass up. That was knocked down by Abdi and then taken in by Ben Colborne. As he gets that back. And now with it is Hussein. Hussein making a move around the goaltender. He's got a shot. And that's knocked away by Lucas O'Donnell. A great play there by Hussein to move around the goalie and end up getting a shot, but just too awkward of an angle. And O'Donnell moves back to take the goalie spot and lets that bounce off of his shins and out. As here comes Hodney for a Bell Bank corner kick. That's sent to the far side and then knocked back out. That was Ahmed that they intended to get the ball to. And instead, Tech knocks that out, and Moorhead will get a throw-in. That's sent in and hit up by O'Donnell. And that's Abdi trying to settle it down, and he'll get it back to his teammate. But that's passed across for Fenstead. Or rather, O'Donnell will take that instead. O'Donnell trying to move it up over to Fenstead now. Intended tap back pass for him, and they'll kick it off of Moorhead's shins, and it'll go out of bounds. So Fenstead taking a throw in here for the Tigers. That's Abdi moving it, and then a pass up to the middle intended for Ismail. Is going to go well across the field. That's Hussein that gets it. Makes a move around Al-Shamani. He's got a shot on net, and that's going to go over as it ends up hitting the football goalpost. So very high energy game so far with just about 9 minutes into the game. As Johnson sends that out, attempting to get Moorhead going on offense again here, as they had that chance earlier with Hussein moving around the net, and then the corner kick after that Hodney sent in. And a pass will just go too far ahead for a Tiger attacker there. And Moorhead gets a throw in. That's going to be moved into Colborne. Colborne moving it to Johnson, and he'll send a rocket to midfield before that's headed. Sent in, knocked down by Hodney. Here's Holmes now, trying to make a move around Keikos. Passed in, here's Irabaran. Into the middle, intended for Abdi, but knocked away by a Moorhead defender. Here's Colborne up the side to Abdirahman. Up for Hussein. Hussein with a move around a defender. He's got a 3-on-2 option for Moorhead. As Tech catches up to him and stops the odd man rush from developing. And it'll be sent out off of an Apollo player. Excuse me, Tech player. Speaking of Apollo, Moorhead actually defeated them 7-0 earlier in the year, as well as St. Cloud Tech defeating Apollo as they beat them 3-1. So a little bit of a St. Cloud town rivalry as Tech takes the victory over them this year. And with both teams having faced off against Tech and both teams winning, you have to see that their offensive strategies and their ability to put the ball in the net has been shown, as we are looking forward to that tonight, as a Al-Shamani throw-in will curve out of bounds, and instead that's Gadzik throwing it in as he moves up to the spot. Headed away by Keikos and settled down by Holmes. Holmes is going to send a pass over to Fenstead. Fenstead using a little bit of speed there. He's going to send a left-footed shot in that's going to glance off of Ben Colborn's shins. Over to the side here. That's Hussein. Hussein sends that in. That's blocked away by Al-Shamani. And then Hodney sends that out. And that will be O'Donnell tapping it back to Lalonde. And now in a series of almost ladder passes, that's going to be sent on forward for Ismail. Ismail trying to make a move around Johnson. He waits for that, settles it down, and Johnson's going to recover and take that away, as everybody waits to see where that ball would go. Instead, it goes out on Tech, and Razak Al-Shamani takes the throw in for Moorhead, sending it on into Baumgartner. Baumgartner settles it down, passes it over to Al-Shamani, who ends up trying to do a move, but the ball disagrees with him and moves in the other way, and Tech takes a throw in here. Here's Yusuf. He's going to pass it across the side for Fenstead. Fenstead trying to make something happen. The left-footed shot's going to go off of a Moorhead midfielder there, and well out of bounds the other way across midfield. And that's thrown in, and Hussein contesting it there for a little bit before settled down by O'Donnell and pass on up to Abdi. Abdi with a couple of moves. Abdi's going to move it on up to Hussein. His pass is going to be taken away by Al-Shamani. Al-Shamani's going to move it over to Namouk, and he's taken down as it looked to be a cleat to the ankle of Muhammad Namouk. And now there's an injury on the play, and a yellow card is going to be taken, or rather given, to number 10, Kadar Abdi, on the St. Cloud Tech Tigers. Now going in for him is Abdinajib Hassan. Rather, he's preparing on the sidelines to go in as we await check-ins for both teams. As addition to Hassan waiting on the sidelines, there is Ahmed. And on Moorhead's side is Elliot Funk. And now those substitutions are made for both teams with about 27:30 remaining here in the game. That's going to be blocked away by newly entered Hassan. And a move around by Funk. Also newly entered before tap back to Hussein. Moved over to Hodney. Hodney looking for options. He's going to send that well forward. And streaking for it. And then watching it go out of bounds was Lucas O'Donnell, beating both Spud attackers to that. And instead elects for his goaltender to take a kick from his box. As he lines up for that kick, he'll send a line drive on out. That's knocked down by Yusuf. Yusuf's going to pass it back to Fenstad. Fenstad's going to send a shot that goes over everybody and in on Vanette, who scoops that up. Rolls that to the side to Baumgartner. Baumgartner tries to chip it on around, but off of Hassan. Baumgartner, pressure very heavily there as Ismail's trying to make a dart to the center of the box. That's passed to the middle to Ahmed, and a shot in on Vanette as he collapses in on top of that and makes another save. That's moved over to Hodney. Hodney's going to shoot that to the middle, and that's knocked down there by O'Donnell. And moving in there is Tech as Moorhead boxes him out, and Colborne ends up with it, and then taps it over to Alawi. Alawi up the side, intended for Keikos. And a nice little bicycle kick there almost as he sends that over the head of Holmes before Moorhead trying to settle it down, and that's taken away. That's another shot and another save by Jacob Vanette. He's being tested very heavily tonight. That's 4 or 5 shots already here, not even halfway through the first half. And now a throw in here along the near side for the Tigers. As that will be Tegan Gadzik taking it for the Tigers. As now we have a couple of subs. Or rather, they got their signals confused and they're not subbing in quite yet. That's moved on in to Abdi. Abdi sent it on over to Gadzik, who tried to send it in and then knocked back out. Moved over to Fenstad. Fenstad looking for options, sends it on to the middle, and then knocked away by Moorhead. Here comes Colborne. Colborne moving it up on the side. And just moving a little bit away from an attacking Moorhead player there. That was Justin Stahlberger along the side. And sent well into the sky again for Stahlberger before it's headed away by O'Donnell. And that's kept in along the side and tapped into Colborne. Colborne trying to look for something, tries to make a move, but a good recovery there by Tech. As now there's a battle for it with Hussein and Gadzik before it's moved on up and then tapped over for Holmes. Holmes tapped back to the right defender there, O'Donnell. O'Donnell moving it up into the middle, long stretch pass for Ismail before that's knocked away by Baumgartner. He's going to move it up to Hussein. Hussein tried to make a move there, but knocked away by newly entered Ahmed. And now moving it in, here's Hassan. Hassan looking for options, kicks it behind his back, sent into the middle. Back to Hassan. Hassan teeing up for a shot with a nice move. Tries to make a move around Baumgartner, but Baumgartner doesn't fall for it and knocks that away. as there's a battle for it with Hassan and Baumgartner. Hassan's going to tap it back to the middle. Here's a shot here for Ismail, or rather there was an opportunity as Hodney knocks that one away. Here's Gadzik taken down by Hussein as they both hit the ball, causing Gadzik to fall. And a move around the middle is Keikos with a spin move. Keikos making another move. He's moving on up. He'll get it on over to the left to Hussein. And Moorhead with some energy here is Hussein looking to move around the middle, chip behind the back, and that'll just bounce away from him. As instead, Tech will send that on out to midfield. And that'll be sent out of bounds off of the Tigers. And a throw in here for Alawi of the Spuds. As we await the okay. As out comes a Tech player. I do apologize, I did not see what happened, but the ref does have a yellow card in his hand. I am not entirely sure if he gave him a yellow card or if he was giving him a warning, but something along the side happened with Tegan Gadzik, and the ref didn't like it. We had a couple of check-ins there for both the Tigers and for Moorhead. As now that's Alawi with a long throw-in, intended up there along the side for an attacker before knocked away by Tech and sent on up intended for Abdi rather, and Colburn's gonna knock that away. Here's Keikos. Keikos back to the middle before that's knocked away by Prepper now, and then sent on out by another defender, and a throw-in will take place for Moorhead. That's Funk who's going to throw it on in. That's into Hodney. Hodney's going to tap it back to Funk. Funk is going to bank it off of a leg of a Tech Tiger. Now he'll get that back. He's going to move it up along the side for Hussein. Hussein keeps it in. Looking for something. Move to Funk. Funk's going to send it into the middle. Almost a 50-50 ball there as the Tigers will end up winning that one, as Funk sends a hook shot in to the box, and there are two Moorhead players and two St. Cloud Tech players. As a high bounce will send it into the air, and that's settled down by Abdi. Abdi pressured by Hodney before it's moved on over to Ahmed, and then tapped to the middle and stolen away by Ben Colborn. That's over to Hussein. And then a pass back for Colburn that's stolen away and then moved on back. And then over to Holmes. Holmes to the middle, and Johnson will send that one up instead. A little bit of back and forth action here, almost looking like tennis as they're both moving it across lines back and forth. And a well-played ball there by William O'Donnell has used that back foot to knock it down before Hodney's going to send a shot into the box, knocked down, and the Spuds will get a chance, and he's going to pass that, shoot that wide of the box as he was taken down in the box looking for a call, and nothing came out of it as the ref will rule that both of them went for the ball. And so Lalonde will take a kick, another line drive sent up. That's moved over to Yusuf. Yusuf's going to send that in, intended for Abdi. That's going to be taken away by Funk, and he'll send that well into the sky. There's a battle for it there along the sideline. And here's Colborn with it now. Colborn's going to move it over to Alawi, and a pass back. For moved into the middle, intended for Stahlberger, but knocked away there by O'Donnell. A little bit of a misplay there by Moorhead. Now they'll end up getting it back, and Hussein is with it. And after a couple of bounces, it'll go off of Funk, and a throw-in will take place for Tech. As before that can happen, there are some substitutions, including number 50, Pablo Iribarren, entering back into the game, as well as Parker Gast entering the game for Max Hodney. That's a throw-in there to Colborne. Keikos tried to hit it back to Ahmed, but nothing came out of it, and instead Fenstad's going to shoot that in, and Keikos settles that down. He's going to move that on over to Colborne. Colborne to Hussein. Hussein over to Funk. Funk with a pass back to the middle to newly entered Gas. Instead, that's knocked away, and here's Iribarren passing it to Abdi. Moved on over here to Hassan. Hassan is going to send it back into the middle. Intended for Abdi, but knocked away by Keikos. And Keikos boxing out before a shot in by Holmes will go wide of Vanette. And he will get an option of rolling the ball, or as he does often, as he just did there as well, of rolling it and kicking it to his defender. As that's Baumgartner moving it over to Funk. And Baumgartner is going to send it into the air for Hussein. Hussein with a couple of defenders on him tries to make a move. He's still got the ball. Trying to split the middle using that burst of speed before it's knocked away from him by O'Donnell. And instead, Moorhead gets a throw in here that Funk is going to take inside the 10-yard line there on the football field that you may see. And that's a throw in for Gas. Tap back to Funk. Funk back to the middle. Intended stretch pass there for Ahmed, but knocked back. And then settled down and knocked out by Fenstad, leaving Funk to regroup it and watch as it goes out of bounds so he can take a throw in. So he'll toss it into the middle, intended for either Hussein or Stahlberger, and that'll just now here's Abdi with it. Passed on over to Hassan. Hassan back to the middle. And knocked away by Colborne before Abdi takes that back in. Here's Hassan. Hassan with a move back to the middle. And a shot in on net by Iribarren will miss. And Vanette gets another option as he'll set that down. And instead take a football-style kick and try to send it up to Keikos. But Holmes will win that battle, and eventually it'll be sent up to Abdi. Abdi with a mover on Baumgartner. He's going to take a shot in on net, and he's going to score! St. Cloud Tech strikes first on a well-played ball by Holmes, sending it over to an attacker and then into the middle for number 10, Kadar Abdi, with 16:09 remaining here in the first. So the St. Cloud Tech Tigers strike first, making the score 1-0 here on your Northwest Blinds scoreboard. As now Moorhead will look to regroup from that. And now that ball will be sent on in for O'Donnell, who's going to send that well into the sky. That's settled down by Gast. Now Stahlberger putting some heavy pressure on Abdi before it's sent on up for Ahmed. And then tapped into the middle, and Baumgartner is going to settle that one down. A couple of missed headers there from both teams before eventually Tech ends up with it. And then stolen away by Moorhead, and then taken immediately back by Tech. As that's Fenstad moving around a couple of people. As here's Iribarren moving up along the side. As he tried to pass there to an attacking forward along his left side, and instead Moorhead gets a throw in as that goes a little bit too far. As that's thrown along the side for Ahmed and then knocked out by Holmes, allowing his team to regroup as they await a ball to be given to Alawi there along the far side. That was in for Gas and a couple of taps, and that's over to Keikos. Over to Colborne now. Moved up to Hussein. To the middle for Baumgartner, who sends it over to Gast. Gast over to Alawi. Moved up, and then tapped to the middle for Hussein. Hussein with a fake shot there, trying to make Holmes bite on something. But he doesn't, and St. Cloud regroups, as that's Iribarin trying to make a almost around-the-world shot. So he goes over the heads of a couple of defenders. And instead, that'll be sent in for Vanette, who boots that on out to Stahlberger, who settles that down. Stahlberger's going to tap that on up. And Hussein gets that stolen from him on a great play before Spuds recover and sends a pass over to Funk. Funk to the middle here for Gast. Gast is going to send it back to Funk. Funk back to Baumgartner. And then tapped out by Abdi. Funk with a throw in here along the near side. As that was to Hussein. Hussein trying to tap it forward for Stahlberger, but a little bit out of his reach. And instead, Prepper now will take a throw in, or rather it was going to be Prepper now before he is subbed in by Tegan Gadzik. And he will take the throw in instead. And taking a couple steps extra was Gadzik. As here's Keikos. Keikos with a move around a defender. He's on the left side trying to get it back in the middle for Hussein, but nothing will come of it. And instead, Fenstad sends a left-footed shot out to the middle before that's headed up by Iribarin and in on Vanette. Vanette with pressure on him senses that, and before Abdi can get to him, Vanette swallows that up and sends out a kick. That's Keikos on over to Ahmed. Ahmed trying to chip it around using a burst of speed. And he doesn't quite get there, and he's beaten to the ball by Tech. There's a little bit of a move there as Iribarin looking for something to do. But Colborne proves a little bit too stubborn and takes it away from him. He sends that on up for Hussein. Hussein is called offsides, as he may have been a little bit ahead of the defenders. And instead, Tech will get a kick from the spot where Hussein was offsides. As Holmes will take that kick, and a well-placed kick will send it on in for Abdi before Baumgartner settles that down. And then that's sent out by Johnson. Here's O'Donnell with it, passed over, and then almost knocked out by Stahlberger, but a great recovery there as Funk ends up with it, sending it back to the middle, and then knocked down and then kicked in by Holmes. You can hear Jacob Vanette there. Almost he's screaming at his defenders, I got it, letting them know to back off and that he'll use his hands as the goalie and take that in. As he'll send a sky-high shot and then settle down eventually by Gas, who's going to use some speed, moving it over to Funk. Funk taps the pass over to Colborne. Colborne to the middle, intended for either Keikos or Al-Shamani, but instead that's stolen away by Yusuf. Yusuf with a couple of moves, looking for something to shoot at, and then boxed out there along the side by Carter Johnson, and nothing will come of that. There's a little bit of a miscommunication there from Moorhead on the pass. And Saddam Yusuf with a great chance there, but nothing will come out of it. So there's a couple of substitutions. And here comes Baumgartner. Baumgartner moving it over to Funk. Funk back to Baumgartner. Baumgartner's going to pass it on over, intended for Gast, and then eventually taken in by Colborne. There's Keikos, intended for Hussein, but knocked down by O'Donnell. And then moved over to Hussein. sent into the sky and then settled down by Kadar Abdi. That'll be Funk taking that away, moving over to Colborne. Colborne with a shot on up, and then knocked away by Gadzik, and then sent in. And again, Colborne's there. Kagos is going to send that over to Alawi. He's going to move that over to Kagos. Kagos with a move around a couple of people. And that's stolen away from him, and Abdi with a chance now here for the Tigers. Moved on over to Hussein. Hussein back to Abdi. Abdi back to Gadzik. Gadzik takes a shot that's blocked by Stahlberger as he puts the body on the line and knocks it out of play as that throw-in goes from Gadzik to Abdi and then back to Holmes. Holmes' pass intended for Fenstad is knocked into the air and then knocked away by Ahmed as Tech ends up in possession of that, and that's Gadzik here. Sends it in, intended again for Kadar Abdi. But Baumgartner now in a battle with it, with Hussein, and he'll keep that in bounds, and instead a shot will be sent to the opposite side of the field by Gadzik before knocked in the air by Johnson. That's Abdirahman Ahmed fighting for it there with Pablo Iribarren before they'll battle again and then move back to Fenstad. Fenstad taps along the side, and that's intercepted. Moved over to Colborne. Colborne's going to send it in to Hussein. Back to Colborne. Back up along the side for Stahlberger. Stahlberger has it glance off of his foot and just out of reach, as the Spuds may have had a chance there. But just a weird bounce off of Stahlberger's foot, and nothing you can really do about that, as the Spuds will look to at least score one goal here and coming up on the dying moments of the first half. That's Johnson keeping it in along the side. And here's Kagos trying to make a move. Abdi's going to move it on over to Gadzik. Gadzik up to Hussein. Back to the middle for Abdi. Almost stole that from his teammate, as the pass may have gone in for Iribarren, but Abdi came flying in and then ended up knocking it out of bounds past the goal line. And Vinette will take control of the ball as Hodney re-enters the game here. And number 5, Ben Colborne, comes out. That's rolled over to Baumgartner, and Baumgartner sends it on up to Hussein. Hussein with a couple of moves. Over to Kagos. Kagos with a hard pass up. Hussein trying to use the speed, but boxed out by Fenstad, and Lalonde will send that up. Moorhead missing the ball there, and here comes Abdi. Abdi's going to pass that, and that's going to move on up to Iribarren, and Vinette watches that roll out of bounds, and he will get, again, control of the ball here with a little bit over 6 minutes remaining in the first half of tonight's game. Score still standing on your Northwest Blind scoreboard, 1-0 in favor of your St. Cloud Tech Tigers. As Hussein's with it now. Hussein a couple of moves. It's a spin before it's taken away from him. It's sent over to Gadzik. Gadzik tries to keep it in bounds, but couldn't quite get the angle on it, and Moorhead gets a throw in as we have another substitution. In comes Mohamed Namouk for Moorhead, and in goes number 36, Abdirahman Ismail. As Moorhead gets a throw in again, farther on down the field. That's moved into Funk after his throw in. Funk back to the middle, looking for something, and he'll tap to Hussein, but that'll bounce off of his foot, and instead Tech sends that on up. And a couple of little karate kicks, and contact. Looks like knee to knee along the middle, as that's never a good sign in any sport, and Hodney's given a yellow card or rather that is Carter Johnson that was given a yellow card, and we do have a player down in the middle of the field. As that's Kadar Abdi getting up now. And not really sure if he's going to stay in the game or if he will end up coming out. And it will look like he will stay in the game. And the shot will be taken by Holmes in on net into the middle and headed up by Colborne. Vanette coming well out of his box for that before he's taken down, and a shot sent in on net that ends up missing. There was some contact there between Sugi Hussein and Jacob Vanette, and Vanette ended up going down, leaving the Tigers with a shot on an empty net. But Moorhead's defense proving very resistant as they end up missing the net and nullifying that opportunity. As that's Funk trying to move it to the middle. And now Funk will get a throw in after it banked off of Ismail's foot. Or rather, they will rule it went off of Namook's foot. And instead, Gadzik gets the throw in. He sends that on into Ismail. Ismail has that stolen from him by Colborne. Moved over to Alawi. To the middle of Colborne. Colborne moving up. Tapped over to the side to Alawi. Back to Ahmed. Ahmed tried to get it to the middle there to Keikos. And a shot sent into the sky by Holmes. Settled down by St. Cloud. And moved up by Abdi. Abdi with a little stop and go before he's knocked off the ball by Hodney. Hodney is going to go a little triangle pass to Funk, who's going to move it over to Colborne. Colborne along the side to Alawi. Alawi moved up before that's knocked away from him on a great play by Yusuf. That sent in for Hussein there. As he'll gain control of that, trying to make something happen, and Hodney knocks that away and allows the Spuds to regroup on defense here in the dying moments of the second half. As Moorhead looks to even the score. As out comes Kadar Abdi and in goes Pablo Irabaran. That's thrown in and then sent immediately back out of bounds there by Abdirahman Ahmed. And so Gavin Fenstad gets a throw in, which will be eventually moved into the middle to newly entered Irabaran, who sends that over, intended for an attacker. Sent in on net by Gadzik, settled down and then moved in. A couple of players there attempting for a goal, obviously for Tech, but nothing comes out of it. Is streaking for that is Hussein. Hussein along the right side. Pass to the middle for Ahmed. Ahmed tried to get something going, and instead that'll be knocked out of bounds. And there will be a throw in, a Bellbank corner kick for your Moorhead Spuds along the far side of the camera angle. Is taking that is Max Hodney. And Hodney's going to take a left-footed shot sent into the middle and headed away by Andrew Holmes. And Hodney takes that in, sending in another shot, sent to the middle, knocked down again by Holmes. Using some speed before it's knocked away by Keikos and accidentally sent on up and benefiting St. Cloud Tech. As here's Colborne and knocks that out. As here's Irabaran. Move it over to Gadzik. Sent over to Fenstad now. We are with 30 seconds remaining here in the first half as Vanette takes that in, looking around for something to do with it. It still sent a shot well into the sky. And then settled down and knocked over by Ismail, intending to get her on Hodney, but Hodney is having none of that and tries to get to the ball, but boxed out by Ahmed. As Ahmed gets a tap pass back there, and Ismail, going over the head of Funk. Funk watches that go out, and that will end the first half of play as the score stands at 1-0 on your Northwest Blind scoreboard in favor of your Tech Tigers.
Make the 5th annual Spudtacular Gala on October 9th part of your homecoming plans. Join the Moorhead Legacy Education Foundation as they share their impact on Moorhead schools this past year. The evening includes live entertainment by Post-Traumatic Funk Syndrome, the Apollo Strings, great food, an exciting raffle, and more. Get info and buy tickets at www.moorheadlegacy.org.
Natural talent, physical gifts, training advantages. To become a champion, none of that matters. True champions are the ones who are comfortable working harder, staying later, and finding that competitive edge. They are never satisfied simply doing a good job, because those who transform themselves from local talent into local folklore are the ones who continually perform beyond their limits. Bell Bank, proudly supporting champions everywhere.
Pam is a small business owner. She is swamped. Pam knows she needs to advertise, but is overwhelmed by all the options. What if there was a way for Pam to have access to a team of media experts? What if this was at no extra cost and didn't require a contract? Meet Avenue Right. Save time, money, and get peace of mind that your advertising dollars are well spent.
We are The Breakdown. For almost 2 decades, we've published the most comprehensive yearbooks on Minnesota high school sports and run the best in-season and off-season events. We cover every corner of the state. We are The Breakdown.
Boss DXT snowplows are tough to beat. Featuring dual trip tech, flared wings, and optional D-force for improved scraping and back-dragging performance. Choose from 3 different sizes in steel, stainless steel, and poly. The Boss DXT is built to restore order.
Your home for Boss snowplows is Bert's Truck Equipment on Highway 75 North in Moorhead.
Before I became a real boy, life was easy. I just sat there doing sandwich stuff. But being alive is so hard. So if you don't want to get up to get a sandwich, you shouldn't have to.
Revive Professional Massage Therapy Clinic. Locally owned and operated. Open 7 days a week, day, evening, and same-day appointments available. Couples massages also available. 20 highly trained professional licensed massage therapists on staff. Now with 2 locations, South Fargo and Detroit Lakes. Offering online booking and online gift certificates. www.reviveprofessionalmassage.com.
Make the 5th annual Spudtacular Gala on October 9th part of your homecoming plans. Join the Moorhead Legacy Education Foundation as they share their impact on Moorhead schools this past year. The evening includes live entertainment by Post-Traumatic Funk Syndrome, the Apollo Strings, great food, an exciting raffle, and more. Get info and buy tickets at www.moorheadlegacy.org.
Natural talent, physical gifts, training advantages. To become a champion, none of that matters. True champions are the ones who are comfortable working harder, staying later, and finding that competitive edge. They are never satisfied simply doing a good job, because those who transform themselves from local talent into local folklore are the ones who continually perform beyond their limits. Bell Bank, proudly supporting champions everywhere.
Pam is a small business owner. She is swamped. Pam knows she needs to advertise, but is overwhelmed by all the options. What if there was a way for Pam to have access to a team of media experts? What if this was at no extra cost and didn't require a contract? Meet Avenue Right. Save time, money, and get peace of mind that your advertising dollars are well spent.
We are The Breakdown. For almost 2 decades, we've published the most comprehensive yearbooks on Minnesota high school sports and run the best in-season and off-season events. We cover every corner of the state. We are The Breakdown.
Boss DXT snowplows are tough to beat. Featuring dual trip tech, flared wings, and optional D-force for improved scraping and backdragging performance. Choose from 3 different sizes in steel, stainless steel, and poly. The Boss DXT is built to restore order.
Your home for Boss snowplows is Bert's Truck Equipment on Highway 75 North in Moorhead.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and a welcome back to second half action of Moorhead High School boys soccer here on Spuds TV, brought to you by Muscatel Subaru. We had a very high energy and low scoring first half, as currently your St. Cloud Tech Tigers lead 1-0 on the Northwest Blind scoreboard, with the only goal coming at 16:09 remaining in the first half from Kadar Abdi of the St. Cloud Tech Tigers. And once again, that was our only goal throughout the entire game so far. And as Moorhead kicks it off to start the second half, we hope to have a repeat for the viewers' sake of the first half, as it was fairly even matched, with St. Cloud getting a little bit of an upper hand, especially after and the moments leading up to the goal, as they had a little bit more offensive pressure and ended up with more shots in that first half. And now Moorhead looks to just flip the script on that and hopefully add 2 to the total, or at least get 1 and tie it to keep that unbeaten streak going to 10 games if you do include, 12 games if you do include that tie against Pelican Rapids in that unbeaten streak. And as second half action has been going on here for about a minute, that'll be sent back to Lalonde, who sends that up, and Stahlberger, or rather that's Gast, heads it out of bounds, and the Tigers will get a throw in. Is that sent in by Fenstad in to Irabaran, moved over to Abdi, back to Fenstad, and then will eventually end up with that back. Sent over and anticipated, or rather not quick enough to it, and instead Hussein ends up with it. Hussein sends that on up. That's Keikos. Keikos with it. Taps that far side. He scores! Moorhead Spuds get a goal. Just 38-22 remaining into the second half, with about a minute 30 elapsed in the second half. As again, that was Reaver Keikos on that goal, on a pass from Hussein at about midfield, using that speed that you so often see from this Moorhead team, and especially you've seen over the past 2 years as Moorhead has made a name for themselves in soccer across the state. As again, just for you viewers at home, that was number 10, Reaver Keikos, from Mohammed Hussein across the middle. As we have a throw in here for Moorhead, as we are awaiting some technical issues here along the field, a little bit of miscommunication with the clock. As play gets back underway, and Tech looking to regroup, and Moorhead coming out with a little bit more confidence now that they have that goal. As Hussein gets a nice pass there from Namouk. Namouk gets that back. He's going to try to get back to the middle, but Abdi with a nice disruptive play there. And Baumgartner will have to settle down for the Spuds, as he'll send that over and just out of reach of Namouk. And instead, Gavin Fenstad will take a throw-in along the near side of the camera for the Tech Tigers. And that will immediately be headed out by Mohammed Namouk. Sent in and then knocked back down, and some contact up high, as that was Amin Yusuf going to head the ball along with, I believe that was Mohammed Namouk, along the near side of the camera, as there was some head contact, and obviously head injuries in the sport are very seriously, as they are in the entire sporting world. So I would assume that the trainer down there is going to tell him to sit the rest of the game out. Now, I could be wrong, and he could come into the game. However, with head injuries like this that we've seen in the past, and really any head injury that we see in any sport today, they'll tell them to come out of the game. As we await and as the trainer attends to the injured Tiger down there, a ball will be sent into Vinette's box and then knocked out for Hussein. Keikos tries to settle that down, but instead that's Alawi. Alawi back in the middle of Colborn, over to Hodney. Hodney taps it back to Baumgartner. Baumgartner moves it up along the side to Funk. Funk tried to spin move there, but about 3 or 4 defenders on him prevented that. Instead, he'll just direct pass it to Keikos, and that's knocked away by Gadzik, and Moorhead will regroup. As Alawi sends that up and headed back down by O'Donnell and taken in by Namook. Over to Hussein, back to Keikos. And almost a nonchalant but very big defensive play by Fenstad as he makes 2 plays in a row there. Colborn trying to send that on up, but he's taken off of it by Kadar Abdi. Abdi trying an offensive slide tackle there, as it will be called against Colborn for contact with Abdi that may have caused him to slide. And instead, they'll be regrouped by Tech and sent over to Fenstad. Fenstad into the middle to Irabarin. Pass back to O'Donnell. O'Donnell sends that into the far side. Trying to settle that down, then pass back to Abdi. Abdi back to O'Donnell. O'Donnell to the middle to Irabarin, back over to Fenstad. And with a little fake pass or shot there, and knock away by Moorhead will force the Tigers to regroup as that goes all the way back to Nicholas Lalonde. And a nice move there by Hussein. And Hodney gets taken down right at about the 40 on the football field, as he will get a kick from just about exactly on that X that you can see right on the outside of that midfield circle. And Hodney takes a left-footed shot well into the net, as there was Ben Colborn there in the crease, box, but was beat to the ball ultimately by goaltender Lalonde, and the score will remain 1-1 here in this second half of play. As now that's passed back, and Baumgartner's going to tap it on up for Hodney, and a couple of weird bounces, sends it on out off of a Moorhead Spud, or a Tech Tiger, and Funk will take a throw-in for the Spuds, as he'll try to send that in. It's knocked out again by a Tiger, so just moving on down the field. Throws that on in, and it goes just over the head of Ahmed before that's sent well out of play and just against the wall leading into the parking lot on the chain link fence surrounding. And with the amount of time it took to get a new ball, the Tech Tigers are now set up on defense. As you can see there, they ended up intercepting a throw-in intended for Keikos, and now Fenstad ends up within the opposite side of the field. A little bit of a miscue there, and Namook sends it back to the middle, and Holm takes that pass in. Settling things down, he'll pass it back to O'Donnell. O'Donnell, Keikos will take it away from him. He's going to send a shot in. That does not go. As Reaver Keikos there looking for number 2 on the night, but could not find the angle on that left-footed turnaround shot, and instead it will be sent out to midfield on a goalie kick by St. Cloud Tech. Past the middle, just out of reach of Hussein, as not sure what the ruling was. I think that was Abdirahman Ahmed along the far side called off sides. As now that will be Andrew Holmes taking a kick that's sent well out past midfield. And instead Moorhead will settle that down into Namook. Over to Hodney. Hodney's going to chip that on over the head. Here's Ahmed along the far side. Abdirahman Ahmed looking for something to do. Sends it to the middle for Hussein, Back to Funk. Funk to the middle intended, and a header just over Keikos. Colborne sends that into the sky, and a great play along the side by O'Donnell, and will knock the ball well into the sky and out of play. And Moorhead gets a throw in along the complete opposite side of where they're gaining their pressure from. As that's thrown into Mook and then knocked back out by Abdi. Here's Alawi. Alawi sending a rocket in to Hodney. Hodney trips on the ball. Sent in up to Ismail, and that's taken away from him. And a whistle is called. And a foul will be given out to Moorhead as a kick will be taken by Andrew Holmes of the Tigers. And Fenstad will send in a long shot that's headed down by Gast and sent up and out of reach for Mohamed Namouk. Now Gavin Fenstad takes a throw in. He's going to send that into Abdi. Couple of weird bounces, and Irabaran's going to end up with that. Passing it back to O'Donnell. O'Donnell's pass is intercepted by Hodney. Hodney moves it over to Ahmed. Ahmed chips it past. And with his Namouk is caught up to and taken down. And you can hear the audience as they thought there should have been a foul called in the box on Namouk. And the ref along the side shook it off, and instead here comes Tech the other way. And eventually Ben Colborne sends that well up, as there was a whistle before. Not sure what it was for. I do apologize, I did not see what happened on this, as they end up calling a foul on Moorhead. And Kadar Abdi instead will take a shot from just outside of the box. As his shot's going to go in on net and up and over, as he was aiming for that top right corner of the nets. But nothing will come from it. And Jacob Vinetz will take control of the ball and kick it over to Colin Baumgartner. Baumgartner sends it on up to Funk, back to Hodney, to Ahmed into the middle. And a little bit of a battle for it, and Holmes comes away with it. And a foul is called on Moorhead again. And Holmes will take a kick from just inside the 30 there on the football field. He'll send that well in, and Vinette knocks that one down and away. And another throw-in will take place for the Tigers. That's thrown in for Abdi. Abdi's going to try to get to the middle to Holmes. Moved over to the side for Gadzig. As here's Hussein with it. Hussein with a little bit of a move, trying to drive to the net. Sent to the middle, shot in on net's blocked away by Baumgartner. For that sent well into the sky, forcing the Tigers to regroup. As that sent into Lalonde, and he will tap that almost out of bounds, but instead he will be beat to it, and then a no call there along the side on Abdirahman Ahmed. As now Nicholas Lalonde will take a kick from his box, and he'll send that in, and Colborne heads it up. And then that's kicked on forward by Abdi. Nice move by Elliot Funk. Stops it, knocks it down, tap back on over, intended for Hussein, but knocked away by O'Donnell. He'll send that on up for Hussein. Settles that back down into Abdi. Moved over to the side. A little bit of dribbling going on by the Tigers. That sent into the chest and then knocked back down by Abdi. Abdi with a couple of moves. With 3 spuds on him right now, and they'll take the ball away. That'll be tapped back and then sent over to Alawi. Alawi back to the middle for Keikos. Keikos looking for moves to make. Sends it over to Alawi. Alawi's pass is going to be taken away by Abdi. Abdi pressured hard by Alawi. And nothing will be called there. And there will be substitutions for both teams, as in comes number 8, Abdi Malik Ahmed, and number 30, Abdi Najib Hassan, as well as number 6, Lukman Samani of Moorhead.
Number 6, Lukman Samani checking in.
And here comes Vanette. He's going to tap it on over to Gast. And Gast will send that up for Hussein. Instead, that's knocked away by O'Donnell. Sent into the middle and shot up by Ahmed. There's Keikos with it. Keikos to Hussein. There's Samani trying to go for it, but instead that's sent on up and taken in by Yusuf. Yusuf pressured hard by Namook. And that'll be ruled out on Moorhead. And Gavin Fenstad takes that throw in here for the Tigers. Sent well on up. And knocked back out of bounds. And Moorhead will take their turn at a throw-in. As here's Alawi along the near side. Sent forward by Gas up to Hussein. Hussein trying to go between the legs. He's going to end up getting it. He'll send that on up for Namook. Namook along the side. Sent into the middle. And Lalonde will beat everybody to it and stop Moorhead's chance. And he will get control of the ball and opt to kick it well out to the midfield and over the line, in fact, as that's headed forward by Abdi. Stumbling there a little bit after contact with Parker Gast. And a pass is sent on up intended for Hussein, but knocked down by 2 Tech defenders. And now they retain control of the ball as Ahmed will send it on over to his teammate along the side. That's Hassan who gets it stolen from him by Hodney. Sent in, knocked back down by O'Donnell. Hodney over the side, headed by Holmes. Knocked down by Colborne. And sent up over to the side, knocked down by Alawi, taking it off the side of his face. Sent up, trying to watch it go out of bounds and trying to keep it in. And he will have it glance off. I'm not actually sure what the call is. As they'll rule a foul on Muhammad Hussein. And Andrew Holmes will take a kick. He sends a line drive of a shot up along the side intended for Saddam Yusuf and then knocked out by Parker Gast, allowing his team to regroup as a new ball is sent in. As here's Fenstad. Throws it in for Holmes. Holmes sent that in, knocked away by 2 separate spuds. That was Namook and Hodney both getting a piece of that. And then sending it up for Gadzik. And handball will be ruled against the Tech Tigers. And so Moorhead will send it over to the far side to Alawi, to Colborne. Namook with it now. And miscommunication there, and Iribarren taking advantage of that, driving to the side. And then a foul is called on Iribarren inside the box. And it won't matter because the Spuds are on defense. And so Gass will send that over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner sends that on up before that's knocked down by Hassan and then sent in. As it's a handball ruled on Colin Baumgartner, as he did end up reaching up for that, I believe. Wait. There's a red card called on a Moorhead Spud. There is 3 studs walking over, so I'm not entirely sure who it was called on. As there is some confusion along the near side as the ref is explaining to both Moorhead coaches what just happened. And Parker Gass has been given a red card. Not exactly sure what it was for. May have been something he said to the ref as he was in the box talking to him. As I didn't see any contact or anything going along the sides, as now there's a penalty kick for Andrew Holmes taking a shot on Jacob Vanette. It's a big turning point in the game here with just over half remaining. As now a shot in for Holmes, goes into the lower part of the net, and the Tigers have scored on a penalty kick with 21:44 remaining in the second half, and in turn the game.
Number 17, Andrew Holmes, by the Tech Tigers, makes it 2-1. St. Cloud check out of that second half goal, 21-43.
And now we await the whistle to get going again. And that's sent back Hussein to Samani. And Alawi ends up with that one. Sent back to Colborne, tap back up to Alawi. Alawi to the middle, stolen away by Abdi. And Abdi intending for Iribarren, but goes out of reach of him. And Alawi with it here. Throws it way down the sidelines. And now O'Donnell sends it back to Lalonde, who's going to kick that up. And taken in by Iribarren. Iribarren's going to move that to the side. And then knocked forward by Hodney, and then settling it down is Ahmed. And then pushed down from behind was Samani. And there will be a Moorhead kick that will look to send them into offensive mode. And that's sent up by Funk. Samani sends that back to Hodney. Hodney moves it forward. Taken away by Hussein. And here's Holmes with it. Holmes passes to Fenstad. Back up the side to Yusuf. But that's taken away by Alawi. Alawi trying to go for it. Knocked down by Colborne. Alawi trying to send it up for Samani. Trying to get some offense going here for the Spuds. But St. Cloud takes control of that before Alawi boosts that up. Knocked down by O'Donnell. Sent in for Fenstad. Now here comes Irabaran. Irabaran intending to get it up to Yusuf. Yusuf with it now along Vanette's right side. Shot in on net and knocked into the sky by Funk. With it now is Irabaran. Irabaran looking for a clear shot on net. He's going to take that, and a save by Jacob Vanette, keeping the score where it is. As with it now are the Spuds trying to get something going. And that cycle kicked back, and now Holmes ends up with it. That sent well up forward for Abdi. And Abdi, realizing he was going to be offsides, instead elects to drop back and let Vanette take that in. That sent on up. Knocked back down, and here comes Hussein. Trying to get something going, but knocked back out by O'Donnell. That was Yusuf trying to get it around Alawi, but instead Alawi gets it and then taken away by Abdi. Kadar Abdi back to Holmes. Holmes for a far side chip over the head of Funk there along the side, and eventually when he catches up to it on the bounce, he'll just knock it out. And here comes Ahmed, and then that's shot in by Gadzik. Now Moorhead gets possession of that. Somani, couple of moves around. The move around, couple of players. That's Stahlberger trying to send it up for Keikos, or rather Namook. But Irabarn with it now to Yusuf, and then knocked away by Colborne. One-on-one with Abdi. And he will take that out of bounds. And we have a couple of sub-ins for both teams as number 10, Revar Keikos, number 4, Carter Johnson, and number 2, Razak Al-Shamani all come into the game for your Moorhead Spuds. As that's Al-Shamani, who's newly entered, well, not newly entered into the game, but rather this half.
Number 4, Carter Johnson, and number 2.
Blocked by Keikos. And now here's Hodney settling that back down. Hodney over to Yusuf. Yusuf to Irabaran. Irabaran back over to the side to Gadzik. Gadzik sends it in. Colborne knocks that down. Colborne to Hussein. Hussein trying to do a little move around there, but it doesn't work. Tap back up for Irabaran. Irabaran back to back. He'll get the ball back and then sent back to O'Donnell. And in a triangle formation, or rather almost a zigzag, that'll be Gadzik that ends up with the ball. He'll send a shot over to Yusuf, but it'll just go out of his reach. And Moorhead gets a throw in. That's thrown in for Johnson. There's Al-Shamani tapping it to Colborne. Colborne back to Baumgartner. Up to Hodney now. Hodney with a little heel pass. And now, after a weird bounce off of the foot of Baumgartner, Moorhead will give St. Cloud a throw-in, as that was Holmes who has the ball stolen from him by Stahlberger. Stahlberger with a move around one player. And sent behind the net. And we will have a Bell Bank corner kick for your Spuds with about 15-20 about remaining in the second half. Is that sent in and then immediately headed up by Holmes. St. Cloud sends that up, and there's Abdi racing for it against Funk. And Funk, with no other option, just sends that out of bounds. And that's going to be thrown in for Hassan, but they will rule that it went out of bounds. And Moorhead will take a throw-in. That's tapped in for Hodney and then back and forth, and now that's settled down by Ahmed and sent on forward for Abdi. Abdi with a couple of moves, passes it along the far side, streaking forward is Yusuf. Yusuf looking for a seam. Thinks he finds it, but Al-Shamani instead knocks it behind the goal line, and there will be a corner kick taken by Saddam Yusuf for the Tech Tigers. As now in comes Khalid Yusuf for the Tigers as we await the corner kick. As rather taking it is Abdi, is putting a very good amount on that. And now Vanette will either send it out or pass it over as he does to Baumgartner. Baumgartner sends it on up to Funk. He'll get a tap back pass, moved up along the side to Stahlberger. Stahlberger to the middle to Hodney. Hodney sends it well up and out of bounds. And there's a throw in for O'Donnell. And he settles that down before moving it to the middle to the other O'Donnell. That's tapped forward and then knocked out by Johnson. And now here comes Gavin Fenstad to take the throw in, as he'll find William O'Donnell, who takes it in. And you can see them kind of wasting some time here as they opted to throw it backwards, obviously trying to conserve the lead. As Stahlberger has the ball stolen from him there. And now Tech sends that on up. And now there's a throw in along the side here for Funk of Moorhead, as he sends that in for Stahlberger. Stahlberger trying to head it to the middle. Here's Hussein with it. Hussein's going to send a shot off of O'Donnell. And that'll be settled down by Tech. The big boot there by Fenstad. And now Al-Shamani takes a throw in for Moorhead. So he'll throw it in to Keikos. And a move around by Holmes as he moves it on up to Irabaran. Irabaran's going to move it back to O'Donnell. O'Donnell has that knocked away by Keikos. And now Moorhead trying to get some pressure going before that sent up for Irabaran. Irabaran to the far side to Yusuf. Yusuf to the middle to Abdi. Abdi spinning around trying to find something before he moves it over to Irabaran. Irabaran has that knocked away from him, and Hussein ends up with that with a little move between the legs. And that's knocked out of bounds by St. Cloud Tech. And then kicked out of bounds by Carter Johnson of Moorhead. We are nearing 10 minutes remaining here in the second half of play, as a throw-in from Fenstad will go to Johnson. And Yusuf trying to fight off some people, and Johnson quite not able to reach that. And instead, Tech will take a throw-in, and that'll be Fenstad opting to take it. As that's into the middle, and then a couple of headers trying to get it out, as that's Colborne. Settled down by Tech. Sent out for Irabaran. Irabaran back to O'Donnell. O'Donnell has that stolen from him by Hussein. There might have been a break there, but a great play by Lucas O'Donnell prevents anything from happening. And that was a great recovery by the St. Cloud Tech Tigers. As now Vanette settles that down looking for something to do. That's moved over to Johnson. Johnson sends it on in to Hodney, who taps it over and then sends it up to Hussein. That's Al-Shamani with it now. Al-Shamani sends it out of bounds. Here's Fenstad for the throw-in. He'll send that well in, not really aiming for anybody, and Johnson kicks it well up. Colburn with it now, behind the back move. Sends that up for Keikos, and that just bounces past him, and Holmes ends up with possession of that. He'll tap it back to Fenstad. As they'll rule that goes off of Gavin Fenstad, and Al-Shamani takes the throw in for Moorhead. Thrown in for Hussein, and instead knocked away by Fenstad, taken in by Yusuf. Has it stolen from him, and now sent up for Keikos. Keikos looking for options, using a burst of speed, and the defensive play there by Khalid Yusuf. And now Moorhead gets a throw in along the opposite side. That's thrown in. And then a bad bounce off of the foot of Stahlberger, and now the Tigers will get a throw in. That's headed out, and Moorhead trying to get something going here with under 10 minutes remaining in the game. And Keikos is taken down by Andrew Holmes. And now Hodney's going to send the kick in. As you can hear directions being yelled from the sideline by Coach Patry and his fellow assistant coach there along the sidelines. That sent well in, knocked down by Holmes. And that sent out, and Moorhead gets a throw in. As we do have some substitutions made, including number 12, Osama Alawi, and number 9, Abdirahman Ahmed. And with a move around is Yusuf. And Vinette takes that in. As there ended up something happening on the opposite side. And now there will be a kick for Osama Alawi from just past the 40. He'll send in a line drive in, and that's headed away by Ahmed, taken in along the side, and then moved in for Funk. Knocked away, and there will be a goalie kick for Lalonde. And that's sent up, and here's Keikos heading it forward, looking for Hussein, and instead that's kicked out of bounds. And Moorhead gets a throw in along the near side. As it's sent in and then immediately kicks back. And it was actually held in before that's ruled out of bounds off of Tech. And Fenstad throws that well up. And that's moved forward by Hodney. Taken away by Irabaran and then sent back to Holmes. Holmes sends a booming shot in to Vinette. And Vinette makes that catch and sends that over to Alawi. Moved over to Baumgartner. Back to Alawi. Alawi with just over 5 minutes remaining. Looking for options. Sends it up to Hussein. Hussein over to Ahmed. Move around by Keikos. Keikos with a couple of moves. Tries to get to the middle. And then knocked out by Khalid Yusuf. as they throw in here for the Spuds. And then sent out by the Tigers. That's sent forward, and then Hani tries to knock that down but ends up missing it. And here's Alawi with it. Back to Baumgartner. Now with it is Funk. Funk keeping it in for the time being before it eventually rolls out. As the clock is stopped for a substitution, as in comes number 36, Abdurrahman Ismail.
Number 36, Abdurrahman Ismail, checking in for the Tech Tigers.
Now with it are the Tigers. And a move there along the side before it eventually skips away from Kadar Abdi. And that's sent in, and Hodney will try to move that forward, but that's blocked away by Holmes. Sent into the air, knocked down. And then stolen away. And then sent on up for Kadar Abdi. Abdi with a move, sends a shot and save by Jacob Vanette, holding the Spuds and keeping them alive here in the late stages of the game. Coming well out to the top of his box and making a save there. As we have some substitution, a substitution, as in comes number 7, Mohammed Namouk, for number 14, Justin Stahlberger. That's thrown in and then immediately taken away by the Tigers. That's Holmes. He's going to move it on and then tap back to Fenstad. Fenstad both trying to kill time and looking for something to do with it before that'll be sent into the stands by Holmes. Moved in, and Colburn's going to send a shot to the opposite side of the field. That's knocked down, and Hodney losing footing there. So instead, Abdi's going to take that in. Pass over to the side, and a shot's going to be sent in by Hassan, but a great block along the side by the Spuds. And instead, we get a corner kick here for the Tigers. That's sent in, and Vanette knocks that down before it is sent up for Hussein. Hussein over to Ahmed. Ahmed knocked down by Holmes. And with a minute and 40 remaining here in the game, Alawi is going to take that. And that's sent in. Now trying to settle it down is Namouk. And moved in, and Hodney intercepts that one. Moved to the middle. And just out of reach of Namouk. And Keiko's trying to get to that, but it's sent and set up for Kadar Abdi. Abdi over to the side for Yusuf. Yusuf sends it into the box, and here's Abdi. Abdi looking for it. Takes a shot, and a save by Vanette. With 1 minute remaining here in the second half, the Spuds are looking for anything. As here's Fenstad before knocking it all the way up is Baumgartner. Sent on over. Intended for Keikos and then sent out of bounds. And Ahmed immediately throws that in for Hussein. Hussein losing a little bit of footing there. And Moorhead gets that, throws it in. Intended for Ahmed, knocked immediately back out by Fenstad with 30 seconds remaining here. They're looking for just everything. Sent in for Keikos. Keikos sends it into the middle, knocked back down by O'Donnell. O'Donnell sends that up. Knocked down by Hodney. Sent into the sky again. And 13 seconds remain here. About 10 now Sent in for Ahmed. Ahmed shoved off the ball. As there's some contact going on at the end of the game. And on that note, the game will end with a final score on your Northwest Blind scoreboard being St. Cloud Tech 2 and Moorhead 1, as Moorhead will not necessarily fall, but their new record is 10-2-2 on the season, and St. Cloud Tech improves to 8-4-2 on the season. As we wrap up here in the final moments of the game here at Jim Goda Stadium, we will see you tomorrow here on Spuds TV as your Moorhead High School football team takes on the Elk River Elks in the Friday night homecoming match. And so again, I'm Carter Castores, and from all my crew here at Spuds TV, we thank you for tuning in, and we wish you all a good night.